from this place of stillness, from this seat, moving my camera, we're going to go into a little stretch. So you want to take a loose cross-leg position, so you're slightly pushing your feet further away from your hips. You want to try and flex your feet as well, and then walk the hands forwards so we fold over the legs. But instead of staying still, I want you to take a rock into the spine, a gentle rock from side to side. And sense where in your hips, maybe in your spine as well, you feel tension. Gently walk the hands up, switch which foot was in front, and then make sure you've got the flexing of the feet and they're slightly away from you. And then we walk forwards, and again we'll rock here side to side. Great, slowly walk yourself up and take your feet into a wide diamond shape. So the feet are quite far from the pelvis. We'll hold on to the knees and we'll take the spine around in some circles, and I'll just keep circling around. I'll just move the camera up a little bit so you can see my head and neck can go into this movement as well. And here we're warming up the hips, connecting them into the spine. And then circle in the other direction. Great, come back to center. We'll cross the legs and roll forwards onto hands and knees, and we'll do a little bit of hip mobility. So we're going to pick up one leg and just draw it around in nice big circles, but try and keep the hips as still as possible so you're really getting into the socket joint there. And then move the knee around in the other direction. Nice, place the knee down. I'm going to turn around, but you don't have to, and we'll take the other side. And then roll the other way. Fab. Drop the knee down, big toes together, knees apart, sink back, find wide knee child's pose. But again, here I'm going to encourage little wave motions from side to side. So today we're going to be kind of moving even when we're holding stretches for a long time, and I find this really helps with flexibility work. Draw yourself back up onto all fours, tuck the toes and just take a few rocks backwards and forwards in this little ball. And then next time your weight is back, step the feet a bit closer and take a forward fold. Just adjust here. Take a forward fold, wrap the hands around the elbows. You can keep your knees bent for now, and then we're going to slowly work to straightening the legs. Before we work towards straightening the legs, soften the right knee slightly more. Take the right hand down to the ground. Take the left arm up and straighten the left leg. So you're in a twist here. You can maybe look up towards that top hand. Lovely. Really nice, guys. And then sweep that top arm forwards. Peel this left hip even more back. And then take it down. We'll switch to the other side. So left leg bends, right leg straightens, right arm comes up. I'm just going to take off my jumper. Stay where you are. And then we take that right arm forwards and you want to pull the right hip even more back. And then we'll sweep that right arm down, and now we can gently see if we can straighten the legs a little bit more. We're still at the beginning of practice, so don't go too deep. And you can even have your hands on your shins if this helps. What we're working on here is elongating the back, so trying to remove a roundness from the back and pulling the shoulders back and down, hinging at the hips. Let your head and neck go. Great, then soften the knees, let the arms hang and roll all the way up the spine. Head is the last thing to lift, and this is going to be a little bit, there we go. We're going to do some squats, and I want you to take, for these first squats, you can take your feet to hip width apart or maybe a little bit wider. We're just going to come down to round about thighs parallel with the floor, and then stand back up. And then when you stand up, you want to squeeze your glutes. We're going to do 10 of these. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Nice. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then from here, we'll do a little bit more hip rotation. Standing on your left leg, you can take your arms out to side for balance if you like, or you can keep them on your hips. You're just going to roll the right knee around a few times, and then in the other direction. Step it down, we'll go to the other side. So rolling the left knee around, and then other direction. And then we're going to do, you can either stay with the squats as we just had them and do 10 more of these, or if you're feeling pretty strong today, we can do 10 squat jumps. So we come down and then we just take a little jump, and we'll do 10 of these. And don't feel like you have to go too low. What I really want you to focus on is landing with a really light impact on the floor. So when we land lightly, it means that our body is engaged, and that's what we're looking for in our splits. So we'll do 10 of these. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lovely. Shake out the feet. And we'll do a little kind of toe to bum stretch. Hold on. And I really want you to focus on tucking your tailbone, squeezing your legs together, and really feeling the stretch through the front of the thigh. Release that leg and we'll take the other toe to the bum. And again, trying to find this contraction in the core, squeezing, maybe not the best angle, squeezing the knees together. Nice straight spine. And we'll release. Now we're going to take the feet into a wider than the hips plie, and we'll sink down into the knees, take the hands onto the knees, and we're just going to rock a little bit from side to side here, opening into the hips. And then we'll dip one shoulder down, take a twist through the spine, and we can look over the opposite shoulder. Back to center, second side. Back to center, see if we can release our hands in front of us. Straighten the legs, turn the toes forwards. And we're going to fold forwards at the hips. Maybe taking the hands onto either the ankles or onto the floor, taking a nice forward fold with wide legs here. And again, if I turn to the side, you should be able to see that I'm really trying not to round here. I'm pulling my shoulders back and pulling my heart center through. Stay here for a few breaths. Soften the knees, roll up the spine. If you're on a mat, or if not, just take a step so you can face me and feet are hip width apart. We're going to flow through a couple of sun salutations, which bring the focus into like some splits poses. So I'm just standing, feet hip width apart, facing forwards. I'm going to be coming down into a plank in a moment, so you will be able to see me. Inhale, lift your arms up, look up towards your thumbs. Exhale, fold forwards and come into a forward bend. You can keep the knees bent here if you need to. Inhale, lift the gaze, look forwards, look ahead of you. And then exhale, step back into a plank. On this plank, we're actually just going to hinge straight up and back into downward dog. Pull the shoulders back, look towards your belly button, and we'll bend one knee at a time here. Stay connected with your breath, guys. Nice. Step the right foot forwards in between the hands. We're going to drop the back knee down, untuck the back toes. And for this first little hold, we're just going to interlock the hands, place them on top of the knee. But I really want you to focus on your hips being square and facing forwards. And we'll just sink down here for a couple of breaths. Nice. Take the hands down, frame the front foot, and then start to shift the weight back into the back leg, straightening the front leg, coming into this hamstring stretch. Now, the more you flex this front foot, the deeper the stretch is going to be on the back of that leg. So just be mindful of that. If you want to go deep, flex this front foot, or just keep it relaxed if you're going a bit easy, and really square the hips. Start to walk the weight back forwards, bending into that front knee. We'll tuck the back toes and lift straight up and back into downward dog. Again, you can bend one knee at a time, couple of breaths here. And then we'll go for the second side, driving the left knee forwards, stepping it down, dropping the right knee down, untuck the right toes, and then rise up, find your hold. And again, if I place my hands on my hips, both my hip bones track forwards. And this is the alignment that we want to have when we do eventually drop down into splits. So a lot of people will just automatically, because it's the body's natural path, their hips will turn out in splits. And this isn't wrong per se, but it's a lot better alignment if we can try and face our hips forwards. In the circus world, it's called true splits, when you can have your hips facing forwards. We'll take our hands down and then we'll move into this hamstring stretch, flexing the front foot if you need to, if you want to, I should say. And then bending the front foot, walking forwards, framing the front foot, tucking the back toes, and lifting up and back into downward dog. Pull the shoulders back. Now you can drop the knees down and just take a moment to watch the next little exercise. It's a cardio move. It involves some jumping. You have two options. If you want to go low impact and you're not really feeling jumping, we'll come into plank, step one foot on the outside of one hand, back, step the other foot, back, step. Or if you want to make it a jumping move, we can jump and jump and jump and jump. Takes quite a lot of hip mobility, so don't worry if your foot doesn't come as far forward as mine. And then maybe you want to do like 5 jumps, and then the last 5 you could do steps. So we'll do 10 of these. One is 2 sides, so we're really doing like 20. So find your plank. When you're ready, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Nice. Come back into downward dog. Couple of breaths in downward dog. And then we're going to straight away drive the right foot forwards, step the right foot forwards and drop the left knee down. We're going to come deeper into this pose now and take the hands on the inside of the front foot. You can either stay up on your hands here or come all the way down onto your forearms. This is called lizard pose in yoga. And we want to also be hugging this knee in, so we're not, it's not wrong to let the knee wing out to the side, it just moves it more into the hip and the glute, and we're trying to target the hamstring here. So just take a couple of breaths here. Great. If you're down on your forearms, walk up onto your hands, come onto all fours and just roll that hip around a few times, the leg that was in front, just releasing the hip. And we'll go through downward dog to take the second side. So tucking the toes, up and back, downward dog, couple of breaths. Great, then stepping the left foot through, come down onto the right knee, untuck the right toes. Hands on the inside this time, either staying up on the hands or coming all the way down onto our forearms for lizard pose. Breathing here. And again, find that sense of connection. Really don't lose sight of the breath. And know that flexibility is so much more than just making cool shapes with your body. It's literally releasing muscle memory. So I would truly believe that memories, trauma, emotions are stored in our physical body. And when we move and when we stretch, we allow this trauma to be released. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with my flexibility journey. Great. One last breath here. Coming up onto the hands, moving the weight back into the back knee and just drawing that knee around a few times. We'll go for one last forward fold before we go into a splits hold. So tucking the toes, lifting up and back, downward dog. Look forward towards your hands, either jump or step the feet between the hands. And find your legs as straight as they can be. So if they need to be a bit bent, that's fine. Then with your hands, you have a couple of options. You can take the hands to the backs of the thighs. You can wrap the fingers around the big toes and fold yourself forwards. Or if you're feeling really open today, we can slide the hands right underneath the feet. And this can get really deep, and it also gives you a wrist stretch at the same time. Nice deep breaths here. Lift the gaze, look forwards, plant the hands down on your mat or your surface, step back into downward dog. We'll inhale, lift the right leg, but keep the hips on the same level, so don't turn the hips. Keep the hips facing down, flex the back foot. We'll stay here for a couple breaths. And then exhale, drive the knee forward, squeeze it in between the arms. Then step the foot forwards, and we're going to slide down into whatever splits means for you today. So if you need to stay quite upright, stay quite upright. If you have blocks and you want to use them, be my guest. And we're going to sit in our splits, connecting with our breath for around about 10 breaths here. Within this time, if you want to take different hand positions, if you want to take your hands to heart center, move them up above your head. If you want to fold forwards at any point, don't feel like you have to stay still. You can take little rocks, but just find what works today. So for the last few breaths, I like to fall forwards. I do like to come forwards and just take a little moment here. And then slowly, hands down, ease yourself out. So gently easing yourself out. We're going to go straight up into a three-legged dog. So tuck the toes at the back, lift the leg, and just roll the knee around like we were doing on all fours, except it's in downward dog. Great, drop that foot down, drop the knees down. We'll take a quick child's pose before the second side. So sink hips back onto heels, forehead to the floor, and just take a couple of breaths. Take a couple of breaths in your child's pose. Lift the gaze up to the hands. Draw yourself back up onto all fours, tuck the toes, lift up and back downward dog, and we'll take the left side. So we start by inhaling, lifting the left leg, keep the hips facing down. Couple of breaths here. Flex that back foot. And then exhale, drive the knee forward, squeeze the knee in between the arms. And then step the foot down and slide yourself into your split on the left side. And we'll take around about 10 breaths here. So when you are practicing on your own, I recommend doing your tighter side first, and then also staying on your tighter side for a good few breaths longer. So that's just a little bit of advice there to balance out the body. Again, if you want to take different positions with the arms. And then if you want to fold forwards as well. Gently easing yourself out. So we'll go straight into that three-legged dog through kind of all fours, tuck the back toes, lift up and back, and then roll the knee around a few times. Fab. Step the foot down. We'll drop down for a quick child's pose before we go into our box splits or our middle split. Box splits. I don't know what the correct term is. Lift the gaze up to the hands, draw yourself up onto all fours, tuck the toes, lift up and back to downward dog. Then step the left foot forwards. Turn towards the side, and we'll do a little bit of prepping with the hips. So we'll just move side to side. You can trace your hands along the floor in a kind of figure eight, just getting into the hips. And then if we want to come all the way down into this kind of martial arts stretch, so one knee is bending, the other leg is straight. You can have your hands resting on the floor just to, we're opening the inner groin here. And then walking ourselves over to the other side, hands on the floor, stretching the other side. Now, before we come into our straddle, we're going to take frog pose for a few breaths. So I'll turn to the side. For frog pose, maybe I need to angle my camera down a little bit. Yeah. So for frog, our calves want to be at right angles with our thighs. We can either drop down onto the forearms or be up on the hands. And then in this pose, we're actually not going to stay still. We're going to gently rock the pelvis back and also down. So we're trying to bring the pelvis back towards our heels and also down towards the floor. We'll stay here for a good few breaths. Great. Walk yourself up onto your hands. Bring your toes a little closer together, and then the knees, and then the toes, and then the knees until we come into sitting on the heels. Lean over to one side. Take your legs into a nice straddle, as deep or as gentle as you want to go. And we'll start just by walking the hands forwards. If this is too much, you can always take your hands behind you. And again, we can take a little rock with the upper body side to side here. You can come all the way down if this feels appropriate, if you feel ready for it. Just checking the time. Cool. Bringing yourself back up, we'll just take a little side stretch. So one arm comes under, one arm reaches over, and you're aiming to take hold of the foot on the opposite side, but you want to keep your chest open here, spinning the chest up to the ceiling. Inhale, slowly rise and come for the second side. Can't reach my foot, so one arm threads under, the other arm reaches. As it reaches, you want to be open, so if you're up here, that's absolutely fine. We just work on staying open as we fold until you can find this position where your chest, your rib cage is still spinning up, nice and relaxed. Inhaling, rise. And we'll take one more fold to the center, trying to come as flat as possible. So if you can, bring your arms all the way forwards, and you want to think about your stomach coming down to the floor first, then the chest, and then the chin. And you can even rest your head down if that feels good. Great, slowly walk yourself up. We'll ease ourselves out of this. So shaking the legs, bringing them together, and you might just want to shake move the muscle around a little bit in your legs. Maybe move the ankles around a bit. And the last stretch we'll do before we come on to our backs for some twists and some meditation is just a classic straight-legged forward fold, and you should feel really open at this point. I'll just turn to the side so you can see my back. Inhaling, lifting the arms up, pull your abdomen in as you fold, and you want to try and maintain the length of the spine for as long as possible. Maybe holding on to the feet, or maybe holding on somewhere around the legs, but really making sure that you are pulling the shoulders back and down here. We'll stay here. And then at the very last moment, if you feel comfortable, your back can round. But we want to try and stay as straight as possible for as long as possible. Slowly roll up the spine. We're going to roll down onto our backs, but through the core. We're going to keep the legs straight. It's quite challenging. So keep the legs straight, point the feet, extend the arms forward, start to round the spine to melt yourself as slowly as you can. This is the kind of only isolated core bit we're doing today, so make the most of it. And then once we come down here, we'll go into a nice twist. Draw the right knee into the chest, keep the left leg long, squeeze the knee to the nose, and then melt the upper spine down. Take your right arm away from you, look towards it, and drop that right knee all the way over to the left, keeping both shoulders pressing down. Feel your entire nervous system, your entire spine being rinsed. Back through center, and we'll switch. I'm going to turn around so I don't look away, but right leg goes long, left knee comes in, squeeze the knee to the nose, melt the spine down, left arm reaches away from you, and the left knee drops over to the right. Keep both shoulders pressing down. Knees back to center. Squeeze both knees in to your nose, make yourself as small as possible. And then on an exhalation, release into Shavasana, your final resting pose. So legs slightly wider than your hips, just letting the feet fall out to each side. Arms slightly away from the torso, palms shining up. And I'll guide you through a little bit of meditation and a few thoughts, a few words about flexibility, about splits in particular. So just allow your breath to fall into a natural rhythm and have a sensation of the bones feeling heavy and the muscles softening away from the bone. Notice how your lower body, your legs are feeling after doing all this deep tissue work. And with this in mind, I'd just like to share with you what the splits pose kind of represents in yoga. So all splits poses in yoga are named after the monkey god, Hanuman. And the reason why they're named after the monkey god is because in one of the great ancient Indian epics, Hanuman leapt from India to Sri Lanka, and his legs obviously went into when he did this massive leap, his legs moved into this split position. And so in yoga, splits represent courage, they represent strength and power, also the ability to take a big risk, to take a big leap into the unknown. So in this moment of stillness, bring into your mind a moment in your life so far where you have taken a large and courageous leap into the unknown. And really bring forward a sense of gratitude for yourself, for being able to do that. Let the feeling of gratitude and the enjoyment of your own power and strength wash over your body now as you lay here in stillness. And now from this same sense of gratitude, connectedness, and love towards yourself, now bring into your mind a part of your life where you maybe feel like you need to take a great leap, but perhaps you have some resistance towards it, you haven't felt quite ready for whatever reason. Maybe it just hasn't been the right time. And just focus on this other aspect of your life where you need to take a great leap. And sense how it would feel to take that step, to take that leap. Whether it's a physical feeling, an emotional feeling, perhaps an image of yourself once you have taken this big step. Bring it into your mind's eye and into your physical body. And now from this point of gratitude and connectedness and visions for the future and thankfulness for where we've come from, start to take some deeper, fuller breaths down into the abdomen, pushing your abdomen out on your inhalation and drawing it in on your exhalation. And then gently start to introduce some movement to your hands and your feet. You can start with little movements in the fingers and toes, gradually bringing them into wrist circles and ankle circles. On an inhale, lift your arms up above your head. Take a full body stretch, pointing down into the feet. Inhale through the nose. Exhale with a sigh through the mouth. Inhaling, drawing your knees up into your chest, giving yourself a hug and rocking yourself gently side to side and also backwards and forwards, massaging your lower spine down onto the surface underneath you. On an exhale, roll onto your right hand side, actually not even your right, just roll onto your preferred side, whichever side feels best for you. And make a little rest with your arm underneath your head, gently opening your eyes. And then when you're ready, slowly bringing yourself up into a seated. And we'll close with a collective breath and we'll chant the sound of Om. Inhaling, lifting the arms, finding prayer. Exhale, bring the prayer to the center of your forehead for your thoughts and your intentions. Bring the prayer to your lips for your words and your actions. And finally, bring the prayer to your heart center for your inner world of feelings, sensations, and emotions. Chanting the sound of Om. Inhale through the nose. Om. Thank you guys. How do you feel?
I feel really good. I feel really relaxed because I think I'm somebody who holds a lot of tension in my hips and my glutes. So
Yes.
that felt really great.
I think a lot of people do actually generally store tension around this area, for all sorts of reasons. I know I feel, yeah, I definitely store tension in my glutes a lot. I do have an injury on one side, so I have to do a lot of, have I got it here? No, I haven't. I have a ball that I do a lot of I just roll on this ball like every night, which really helps. But yeah, how are you feeling, Sarah?
Yeah, really nice. Really, really nice.
Is it Sarah or Sarah?
Sarah.
Sarah. Good.
Yeah, really, really nice. That was lovely.
Great. Yeah, so all of these exercises you can obviously do if you're stretching your splits yourself at home. Obviously great for pole. This need all that leg mobility to get into those straddles and those inverts and stuff. So yeah, any suggestions for next week?
No, not at the moment.
Cool. Well, if any do pop into your head, just message me and I'll figure something out. I like suggestions.
You know what pose I really like that I haven't done for a long time?
Yes.
Where you're on your front and it's hold on to your legs.
Upward facing bow, I think that's called.
Yes, yeah. I think
yeah. So yeah, that we could do it. We haven't really done back bends for a bit, I guess. So we could maybe do a back bend focus class next week, which works around that pose, which would be nice.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. Well, it's a full moon tonight, ladies. So
is it really?
Yeah, it's a full moon, so enjoy yourself. The energy, well, in very traditional yoga practices, they don't actually practice on the full moon because the energy is said to be very volatile and very high. So
yeah, it really affects my mood normally when it's a full moon. People go crazy, don't they, on the full moon?
Yes, and I think it as women as well, because obviously our menstrual cycles are synced with moon patterns and gravitational patterns. There's like a lot. I think it's, it's kind of very personal whether you are connected to these kind of things or not, but I've definitely noticed a connection to how the planets are moving and my emotional
I've just come off the pill. I've been on the pill for like 25 years or something like that. This is the first month I've come off of it, and I've downloaded an app, and I'm like going to really monitor like my cycle and things like that. So I'm actually really into that at the moment.
I'm so excited for you. I was on the pill from, I'm not quite as long as that, but I was on the pill from quite a young age, maybe for about 3 or 4 years. And yeah, when I came off it, it was very challenging for me actually, to come off it. And I didn't menstruate for years after I came off it. Yeah, which was really quite scary. Yeah. But there were other reasons why I wasn't menstruating. I had a long history of antibiotic use, which I think really affected my hormones because it kind of destroyed all my gut flora. So much going on there. But my periods did eventually come back, thank goodness. And I think I think the pill is an amazing liberator for so many women, and I'm definitely not out here to bash birth control, but for me, since I've come off it, I feel so much happier, so much more connected with my body.
That's what I'm really excited to kind of know my body again, and know when I'm ovulating and just be natural.
Yes. Yeah. I think, I think the problem with the pill is kind of a lack of awareness about the other things it could be doing. Like, I didn't even realize that so many health problems I was having were actually
caused by the pill.
Like, I was having constant like thrush, which was awful, like skin problems. My anxiety levels were like out the roof. I never had.
It's just like hormone. You just take it. It's just
Yeah.
hormones, isn't it? So it's messing with your hormones. It's messing with your emotions and stuff.
Yeah. I never like gained weight in the majority of my body, but my breasts were like always really swollen, and like really, it felt like PMS just like all the time,
because it's like it's just giving you estrogen, like more estrogen, so your body's not balanced with the, you know, with the hormones you should have.
Yeah, it's a really, well, I'm really excited for you on this journey.
Yeah, I'm really, because I came off the pill before, and I got pregnant like the first month I came off the pill. I took the morning after pill, so I was really scared and nervous about coming off the pill, which is why I stayed on it for so long. But I've just thought, right, I'm just gonna do it, but I'm gonna really track it, and obviously not make that mistake.
Well, these things happen, you know.
This is what I was worried about, because my mum got pregnant the first time she ever had sex. Then I came off the pill and I got pregnant, and I took the morning after pill. My brother got his wife pregnant, like really, the first time they sort of started trying. So I was worried that we are just a very fertile family.
Yeah. Well, good luck with it all, and I'm interested in hearing any updates that you have.
I'll keep you updated.
Yeah, well, have a lovely day, guys, and I'll see you next week for Backbench.
Thank you too.
Thank you very much. Bye.